Everyone, welcome back to the Optimization Toolbox. My name is Jenna Redfield, and today we have a special guest with us, Miss Princess Paula, who I met a couple months ago at a networking event, and then we started seeing each other at this Women in AI meetup, and then we got into conversation about name tags and how she has created all these different name tags for herself. And I just thought I have to have her on the podcast to talk about building a personal brand. So welcome to the podcast.
Woo, thank you. I'm super excited. You are one of these people that I had heard of. So you're one of those LinkedIn famous people that when I finally met you, I was like, it's you.
I try. LinkedIn has become really my biggest platform in the last few years. I always was like active on there, but it wasn't until I started doing more video stuff and trying to get more local clients that I'm like, this is the best platform for me to find business owners and people that want to grow through video. But then I also just really like the platform. I feel like every time you go to a networking event, you can add people on there. Most people have a LinkedIn, just like Facebook or Instagram. So I would love to learn a little bit more about you. I know that you do a lot of speaking, you do a lot of stuff with AI. Can you kind of tell us a quick run through of your story and what you're doing these days?
Absolutely. So now, as Princess Paula Consulting, I'm a professional speaker, AI trainer, MC, podcast host. So I usually say, put a microphone in my hand and I'm a happy gal. So anything that centers around a microphone and I'm golden.
Yes.
I still do work with some clients on the side. So in that consultant space, I'll also tell people you got into business because you're passionate about what you make or do. And the biggest thing is being able to connect with your customers.
Yes.
So in that marketing space is just how do you connect with your customers? But I specialize in networking, marketing, social media, and Google business profiles.
Oh, interesting.
And
Why? How did
especially
you get
now
into
with
that?
AI. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
fun watching how AEO now. And it's just,
Yes. Can you explain a little bit about that? Because I think
I
that's something
will.
I haven't talked about yet.
So this is huge because whenever anyone would Google, we almost talked like robots. So we would go pizza place near me, painter near me, and we would talk in this very robotic way. And so we trained Google to find businesses based on that. Well, now what's happening is with generative AI, people are going to these LLMs and they're being very conversational and they're talking like, hey, chat, I'm looking for a pizza restaurant, but I want it to be vegan and show like we talk. So the way we set up our websites and our Google business profiles has to reflect that conversational tone so that all of these generative AI platforms can find you on the internet.
That's so true. And I think I talked with Carolyn, who is a mutual friend of ours, about this. And actually, I did an exercise. Maybe I'll share it here. I asked ChatGPT who on LinkedIn I should connect with in the Twin Cities. Yes, this was before ChatGPT 5. So this is when it was still ChatGPT 4. This is a couple of months ago. And I just said more. And after 3 times of saying more, I finally found myself. So that was very exciting. So I finally, like, myself was on there. Yeah.
That's really cool. Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
It's a good because then it was asking me like what type of people do you want marketing people do you like I just was like anyone I was like who's the most well-connected person I was just trying to ask it to see what it knew and some of the results were interesting there were people that didn't have as many connections as I expected but somehow something in their LinkedIn account made them show up on ChatGPT.
That's wild. And then for you and I, because we sit in this generative AI
Yeah.
space and we're both geeking out over it, I just think when everyone's always talking about, well, AI is going to come along and steal jobs. Do you know how many jobs it's going to create? Because now we have to learn how to optimize for these LLMs. And that's a whole new skill set of people that need to sit in that spot.
Traditional SEO has changed. And I think that those people are going to have to learn this way of doing things because you're right. I am using it as a search engine more than Google these days.
Same.
And so I'm curious, I would love to go to a class on how to get myself ranking on ChatGPT, stuff like that. Cause that's something I've never learned how to do. And I don't even know if people know yet how that works. We're still trying to figure out what is ChatGPT getting from us online. And for me, it was interesting because it actually brought up because I recently changed my business name, it showed my business name, the new one. So I was like, oh, it had like just searched me recently because I had changed my business name. So I thought that was interesting that it was very up to date in the information it had about me.
That's wild. No, that's really good. And that's just it. For me, I'm always telling people you have to have a presence on your Google business page. This is just separate from traditional SEO that's tied to your website. You have to have a presence, especially now that everyone's using these LLMs to search and they're going out on the internet. You have to be out there. You have to be findable.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think social media is just as important as a website. And I always tell people that people think they just need a website. And I'm like, no, you don't know when the last time somebody was on a website. I know they have the little copyright at the bottom, but with social media, if you're not showing up every week, at least people think you're out of business. And I feel like that's the other thing too, is people just, you have to be found.
I love that you're doing this. We're going to be all over the place, but I was just talking to my podcast co-host this morning. We started talking about social media. How often do your followers and people even see you? And what does that mean? And what's the draw? Are you finding, anyway, we could be here for days and weeks because same thing. I'll always tell people you have to have at least a page or a profile on social media so that it legitimizes you as a business. But depending on your business, you're only going to find so many customers that way, depending on what you do.
Exactly. And that's why most of my clients are found through networking, and I'm sure yours probably are as well. But then I connect with them on LinkedIn, and then they see me all the time. So my goal is to have them remember me by just putting out content. And the nice thing about LinkedIn is there's not as many people posting content on there. So if you post content more, you're actually going to be seen more. And people tell me, they're like, I see you all the time on LinkedIn. That's because I post one time a day. That's it. I would post that on Instagram and people would see me once a month. So
here's a question, Jenna. I have to ask you, have you figured out for you on LinkedIn when you post and you get the best engagement?
I post at the same time every day between 8 and 9 a.m.
Oh, you're so good.
But I also, this is what I do. I actually schedule some posts out. I have 3 posts right now that are scheduled to be posted because I just come up with an idea and I'm like, but I've already posted today, so I'll just schedule it for like Wednesday next week. But I also have, let's go down a rabbit hole of content planning, but every Tuesday I have a podcast or a YouTube video that comes out. So I know what my Tuesday post is. If I'm going to an event during the week like that, maybe I'll do a recap of that. So it's very easy for me to make LinkedIn content, whether it's capturing photos at the event. It's just, I don't know. I like think of for example, one of the things, this is actually a good tip. If you're talking to someone and you think of something that you're talking about in that conversation, capture it in your brain and be like, that would be a good LinkedIn post, especially if it's about business. So I like to just make a mental note of, ooh, something I said was really good there. I would like to share that. For example, that thing I just told you about finding myself on ChatGPT, I want to do a post about that because people have never thought about that before. And every time I bring up that story, they're like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, that would make a good standalone LinkedIn post, right? So I think something like that, where it doesn't have to be anything promoting yourself in that sense. It's more of just something interesting. People tell me they like my interesting LinkedIn posts. I was like, I'm just sharing a story or something.
I adore you. This is just like, I'm getting so excited on this side of the mic because that's what I tell my clients all the time. Every time you go somewhere, just take a photo so it lives in your camera. So the number of times I'm like, I need a post for today, and I'll go and look in my camera roll and go, what's in there or what did I grab? And because sometimes my mind doesn't always work, what you're saying is when I get those ideas for a post, I'll just send myself a little email or throw it in my notes or whatever, go post on this.
What I do is I put it into ChatGPT immediately so then I can look back at it. So that way it's like, so
hey, and you put in one of your projects? Tell me you have a project.
I do. Well, I have a whole YouTube video about how I organize ChatGPT. So I will link that in this episode because that's the thing I teach online is digital organization, how to organize your projects.
Oh, I know. I saw your YouTube video on projects and I learned it all and studied it.
So I find that for me, if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. So I think that's the thing. Finding a system for you to do that is really important. I know we could go down this rabbit hole. I do want to get back to the things
sorry.
that we're talking about. No, it's fine. No, it's good. But I think that kind of goes along the idea of personal branding, which has become a really big, important part of, I think I've always been doing it the whole time, but I never had the language for it until I really started realizing that's what people know me for, is the way I've branded myself personally. And I think you do a really good job of it too. And that's something that stuck out to me because I was like, oh, I feel like you're the other person in town that's doing a really good job of building your brand around specific words, specific looks, specific items, props. And I think, how did you get to that point where you realized, oh, I have to stand apart from the crowd in order to be memorable?
So good. And that's exactly what it is. It's creating your USP, your unique selling product so that you are a standout.
Yes.
And it was probably 7 years ago when I started really intentionally marketing. I'd made a big career shift and suddenly I was going to all these networking meetings and I'd go to these networking meetings and I'd be in a room full of people and I'd look around and the competitive part of me was like, I need to stand out. How do I stand out? How do I make it so that everyone in this room remembers me? And especially because at the time I was working for a restoration company, which is fire, water, mold, boring, super boring. And it's like, how are people going to remember me? So I'm their go-to mold girl.
Yes, go-to. Yep.
And so it was this whole thing of where I went, I'm just going to introduce myself as Princess Paula. It was simply the alliteration, 2 P's, Princess Paula. And I was like, it's funny, it's cheeky, it's kind of sassy. but everyone will remember my name
Mm-hmm.
because I just wanted people going,
Yes.
it's Paula. Do you know Paula? Go to Paula. Paula can help you. Because I'm sorry,
Mm.
but nobody remembers last names
Yeah.
unless you have a really cool
Unless
name.
you're me and my whole thing is my last name is Redfield, so my brand is
Yes.
Reds. But that's like
Yes.
because
But
it's
you
not
have a
very
good last
well,
name.
I'm saying I have a last name that happens to have a color in it, which is pretty rare. So like, that is the part for me that people remember is my last name.
My last name is Scovira. And usually what people
Yeah.
say is, how do you say what is this? I'm
Yeah.
like, let's just leave that over there.
Exactly.
And so I was like, oh, I'm going to make it Princess Paula. And because I was doing it really tongue in cheek, I don't walk around thinking I'm a princess and I'm not that personality. I could pull it off. And it just started sticking because everywhere I went, I'm Princess Paula. I would do
Mm-hmm.
radio commercials. I would start doing everything. And I was like, I'm going to lock in this brand. And then I just kept building on it. So I would have crowns sometimes, or I'd put a little crown on something. And this was before I started my own company. And it was
Yeah.
just doing this whole Princess Paula and Princess Paula. And even with my name tags, only ever putting my first name so that people just knew me as
Mm.
Paula.
Mm.
And so once I started my company, I had already built a network and connections. And so creating a company off of the whole brand, if you will, of Princess
Mm-hmm.
Paula,
Yeah.
just naturally, it just kept going.
Yeah, and that's why so my new business name is Red Thread Studios, and it's because I want
Oh,
it to be I'm helping people find their red thread, but also my last name is Redfield, so I wanted it to be helping people remember my last name as well. So I knew when I was coming up with a business name it had to have the word red in it, and that was just like one thing I had to have. And then I read a book called Finding Your Red Thread, and I love that book, and so I thought why not put that as my business name. And so it was like and I put it on LinkedIn and everyone loved it. Explained the reasoning behind it, but now people remember it because they're like, oh, it's something that people will repeat back to me. Because sometimes business names are tough when it's something where you're like, what is it called again? Like, or if it's not a memorable name, it might not be the right name.
exactly. And I think that's so good. Like people sometimes will start a business and they're not thinking about that marketing side of it.
Mm-hmm.
What is your
Yes.
name? What
Yes.
is your tagline? What are you trying to do? So this is a big thing even with swag. And when I talk to
Mm.
people about swag, they don't realize your swag needs to tie into what you do so
Yes.
that it's connected. So sometimes I'll meet people and they're giving away pizza cutters or koozies. That's
Mm-hmm.
great, but what does that have to do with your brand?
Yes. Yes.
That's why my swag is coasters because I always say,
Mm.
I want you to leave an impression on your customers, not your countertops.
Ooh, I love that.
And that's how I tie in the coaster. So whatever people are using for, because already my mind's going with you. I'm like, oh, could you do a little needle and thread? Could you do little
Yes,
sewing kits? I'm like,
that's
could you do
exactly
something
yeah.
really cool?
Yes. I'm already thinking about it for other acronyms that I use in my business, like Weave and Loom, and actually some of my double stitch. I've started going down that rabbit hole of sewing because you're right. I was like, I do want to have that be a motif or a metaphor throughout my entire website. And I actually, in all of my presentations now, I have like a red thread that goes through each slide. So that way,
Oh,
so each slide, or on Instagram when you're doing like carousel or something, so it kind of just red thread throughout. And I was like, I think that's a good way to help people remember it just subconsciously. A lot of this is subconscious. People don't even realize that they're being marketed to in that sense, right?
yes. And that's what I love about really good marketing is when it's
Mm-hmm.
well done, but it's kind of subtle or it makes sense and
Yes.
intentional. We just have to think so differently about marketing now. And
Yes.
and for me, since I am the brand and it's all about me, I knew I had to create a brand around Princess
Mm-hmm.
Paula. One of my USPs is my sparkly boots. So I
Mm.
always wear sparkly boots or sparkly shoes. And people
Mm-hmm.
have come to know that because anytime I go somewhere speaking, and I show up,
Yes.
it's always like, oh my gosh, your boots. I love your shoes. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm known for. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to tie in some things that just become
Yes.
what I'm known for.
Yes. I do the same. So I did a color analysis a year ago, and I'm a warm spring, and I talk about it
Oh,
all the time. And so I wear a lot of orange and red and all the colors in my palette. And so people come up to me and they're like, "You're wearing your colors today." I've really made it part of my identity is my color analysis results. So you never, so it's just for me, orange stands out in a crowd too. Even though I was very happy that I was a warm spring because I was like, those are colors that I had never ever gravitated towards, but now they're like all over my wardrobe. And I try to wear red a lot too and put like nail polish on. I'm very much like red. I have red shoes. I have red
oh,
earrings, you
so
know.
good.
I've really tried to make that helpful for people to, they might not realize it, but then they're like, oh, Jenna's gonna be wearing red today. They just in their head, they're like, oh, that makes sense.
Can we just pause for a minute
Yeah.
just to talk about getting your colors done? Because I'm a cool summer
Yes.
and how
Okay.
much it changes your life when you know
Yes.
what colors. And every time
Yes.
you show up, people are always like, you look great. You look really
Exactly.
good because you're in your season.
So I have done, I think, 4 episodes of this podcast about color analysis. I had my color analysis person on. I've done so much about it because I agree. I'm so much more confident
It was
than I used
life
to be.
changing for me.
It was life changing for me too. And I used to have, I went really blonde. I was like your blonde, but it looked bad on me because it was a cool tone and I needed more of like goldish tone for my skin tone. And so I look back at photos and I'm like, I look like I was dead. I look like I was just like a ghost. It was like my hair looked so sallow. It made my skin really pale. And so if you go to my Instagram, it's my pinned post on the top of my Instagram is my before and after of me wearing like black versus me wearing like green. And it's crazy. I look like a different person. And so I think everyone needs to do it. And I really think it
Absolutely.
changed how
Especially
I
with marketing.
Yes, and that's why that's actually going to be part of my book too is I want to talk about my color analysis in my book because I'm like this is such an important part is you want to look your very best. First impression. The moment I realized I was a warm spring, get everything out of my closet that's not looks amazing on me, right? So another thing I also did was the Kibbe body analysis. I don't know if you know anything about that. It's
No.
basically so there's women have 13 different potential body types. So
Oh,
you
wait.
have
I call it a style analysis. I'm a
it's
romantic natural.
yeah, so I'm a soft dramatic. So
That makes
so
sense.
so it's like because I'm taller. So because I'm 5'7", there was only like 3 options for me. And I was like, I'm a little bit more curvy. So I actually asked ChatGPT. That's how I figured it out was through ChatGPT. I put photos of myself in there and I said, ChatGPT, help me figure out which Kibbe body type I am. And now, oh, this is my biggest hack, and I'm going to share it because I know you love AI. I have created a style matchmaker custom GPT. So every time I go shopping, I take a photo of the item before I buy it, and it has soft dramatic and warm spring as my 2
Oh,
criteria. So now when I go shopping, I take a photo and ask ChatGPT, is this a shirt both a warm spring and a soft dramatic? And it will tell me yes or no. And it has completely changed how I shop.
this is interesting because I had both my color analysis and a
Mhm.
style analysis done with
Yeah.
my friend who does it.
Yeah.
And so she really drilled into me
Yeah.
how to pick out clothes and what I'm
Yes.
looking for. And actually, we just had her on our podcast
Yeah.
talking about this because tying it back to marketing for your brand and who you are, knowing your colors is
Yes.
huge. I
Yes.
revamped my logo and everything once I
Yes.
had my
Same.
colors done so that I was within my season, so
Same.
that my website, all
Mhm.
of my colors are now in my season, my business cards. You just
Yes.
want all of that sitting right and feeling right.
Yes.
And these are all subtle things to what you said
Mhm.
subconsciously when people are looking at something and they just know it looks good and it has a
Yes.
good feeling around it.
And I'm gonna be honest, I think my energy level has shifted because of it. Because people always say, "Oh, you have such great energy," and I'm like, I never got that before I did my color analysis. So I don't know if colors are just like I'm wearing them better, and like people
Because
just
you
kind of
feel good.
yeah. And I feel confident that I'm wearing the right thing because I think for a long time I didn't know, and I think being in an unknown state makes you just feel like you're unsure all the time. And I'm like, no, I know that this looks good on me because I've had it professionally told to me that these are in my palette. And I just think people always ask me about it, and I'm like, you got to do it. It
Yes.
doesn't change your whole life. It's so worth it. It's going to change how you shop. It's good. I just think my mom did it in her I think, late 20s, and I think she's also a summer. So she's known for the last 30 plus years that she's a summer. So she has made better decisions with hers as well. And so she's had it my whole life, and I didn't even realize.
That's so cool. Well, it just
Yeah.
makes life easier because you always look good in the things you're
Hmm.
wearing. It makes shopping easier.
Yep.
It helps you to be more confident because, especially as women, so much is thrown at
Yes.
us all the time. Wear this. This is what's
Yeah.
cool. This is what's trendy.
Hmm.
Here's this season's colors. And you're able to go, well, it's not my color. So
Yeah.
I don't
And
need to jump on that
you
bandwagon.
you turn off the bad suggestions in a sense. Like you almost have a narrow vision of nope, this works for me. One of the things that I've been saying a lot lately is there's no such thing as universal advice because everyone is so unique. And so I hate when everyone should do this. No, that's not true ever. Just because somebody says that doesn't mean it applies to every person. For example, I recently gone gluten and dairy free. So a lot of stuff just won't apply to me. I can't eat it. It's just like it's been interesting for me to be like everyone should try this. I'm like, oh, I can't eat it. So there's certain things where I try not to say everyone should do this because I do think that there are so many situations that don't apply to everyone.
I'm going to totally bring this back. I just adore you, Jenna, because this is exactly how I feel about marketing. When I
Yes.
work with people all the time and I say, you are getting should all over because people
Yes.
will come up to you and
Yes.
say, you should be doing that.
Yes.
No, you shouldn't. That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for your business or
Mhm.
your industry or your client base. But people are just coming along going, you should do this because they're going to
Mhm.
make money off of it, or
Yeah.
it's just what's trendy. And I try to insert myself in that space and
Mhm.
go, whoa, we need to take a minute and find out who is
Yes.
this business, who's their ideal client, where do they hang out? Because if
Mhm.
your clients aren't on TikTok, then don't go do stuff there.
Yeah.
That's a waste of money. I recently worked with a client, and when I was talking to her about what she's been doing, she's like, I'm marketing in bars. Forget what she, and I looked at her and I went, who's your client base?
Yeah.
They don't hang out in the bars at all. So I
Yeah.
was like, why are you spending all of this money? You're wasting
Yes.
your money.
I think
So
that's so true. I do the same thing for my clients because I'm also a marketing consultant. And I look at it and it's like, you're right. People are given advice from one person and they take it as law. And I think that it's like, oh, well, that one person also may not know your business at all, or they might not be a marketing consultant. They might just be a random person on the street who, like, oh, my
has
son had
something
a,
to sell.
or my son was on TikTok and he went viral, so you should do it too. But that's not a business strategy. That's a tactic that may or may not work. But at the same time, I don't fault them for not knowing because they don't know.
They
Tried
don't,
it.
because that's not what they got into business for. Like,
Exactly.
people got into business because there's something they love to do or
Yeah.
make. And now they're going, oh, I'm supposed to market myself. And so when
Yes.
someone comes along and goes, you should do this, they go, oh, well, if you say
Yeah.
so, I'll do this.
I think
And
half of me is unteaching people things. Like, right? Oh, that's not what you actually should be doing. And I think a lot of people, what happens is they're like, that's what I thought. It's going against
give
their,
them permission.
yes, it's going against their inner gut feeling. And I'm always about gut feelings because I think it's usually correct for the most part. Sometimes people don't trust their own gut feelings. I'm very impulsive in a sense. I'm very much like, if I think it's going to work, I just go for it because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It just doesn't work. I do something else. But for the most part, I really think those impulsiveness is my gut telling me this is the right thing to do, right?
I'm going to tie this back now to the whole style analysis thing
Yeah.
we did just talked about, because once I figured out what my style was, the first thing I said to my consultant person, I said, does this mean I don't have to wear skinny jeans? Because I hate skinny jeans,
Yeah.
but everyone's always told me that's all
Mhm.
you can find in the stores. And she's like, Paula, that is the worst thing you could possibly wear for your body
Mm.
type. And I went,
Yes.
thank you. She gave me permission to
Yeah.
not have to do something I didn't want to do. And we clearly do that for our clients as well,
Yeah.
because again, they have to figure out what makes them unique. What is their standout
Yes.
thing? Not what
Yes.
everybody thinks it should be or what's popular.
Yes.
And that's how then they can be really unique in their branding, because they'll become known for
Yes.
something.
One of the things that I recommend doing to someone is, or just like as a, is finding something that you like to talk about a lot and then talk about it publicly on something like LinkedIn. So for example, one thing I love saunas. I love going to saunas. And
Really?
yes, I love them. And I've been doing it for about 5 years. And so I'll try to post about saunas and then people will send me articles about sauna. What is the thing that you like? And having almost a list of like, I talk about saunas, I talk about my color analysis, I talk about YouTube, whatever it is that I love. How can I bring that up in posts on LinkedIn so that when people think of that thing, they think of me subconsciously, or they send me, I talk about my ADHD a lot on Instagram. I have a friend who just sends me posts on Instagram stories, like all this. She just sends them to me in the DMs on Instagram. People just think of me when they think of something. And it's because I talk about it consistently over a long period of time. And I think a lot of people, if they bring it up once, people might not remember it. But if you bring it up every month or every other week, people are going to start affiliating you with
Yes.
that.
People are about to watch our friendship just like bloom and develop here, because I am absolutely falling in love with you. As soon as you start talking
Aw.
about saunas, so everybody back home where I'm from has a sauna, and we've
Mhm.
talked about building one in our yard. So I was
Yeah.
just like, she likes saunas
I
too. That's
love
so cool.
saunas.
The other
Yeah.
thing I love what you're saying, and this is marketing gold,
Mhm.
and that is, if you start talking about things that you love, it doesn't have to have anything to do with your
Mhm.
business.
Yes.
Because then when people be like, oh, there's some sauna thing, that's cool, I should send that to Jenna. Who's Jenna? Oh, she's someone who owns this or does this.
Mm.
They've already locked in what your business
Yes.
is, but this is allowing them to really get to know you and who you are and
Mhm.
what you're about, maybe even what you're an expert in. Like me with the whole AI thing, it did not start out that way. It's become
Mm.
that, but that's not the space. I was in this whole
Yeah,
networking
same. Yeah.
space,
Mhm.
but this is just has come alongside, and I've embraced it.
One of the things I talk about a lot is Substack, which is where I have my podcast and my YouTube channel. And I was at a networking event And I ended up getting asked to speak at a conference about Substack because I talked about Substack so
Oh,
much.
cool.
I've never done a talk on Substack, but because I'm such a fan of it and I talk about it all the time, people started noticing that I was a fan and good at it. And it's like, oh, you should come talk about it at our thing. So you never know what opportunities can come from just talking about something you're passionate about, because you never know if somebody else also loves that thing. And they really, this has definitely happened to me before, where we connect on a deeper level because we both love the same thing. And then people remember me for that and they bring it up when I see them again. And so I think when you go to a networking event, talking about your passions is really important because people might remember that more than just your business.
Totally agree. And this is when I work with people and they're always like, how should I market myself? And they start going down some weird road. What you're saying is what I'll tell people. I'll talk to them to find out, what do you love to do? What do you do in your spare time?
Yep.
What are you passionate about? What do you know a whole bunch about that nobody else does? And you make that your specialty and you can build a whole brand around that.
Yes.
So let's say you're really into hockey and your kids are in hockey and you love hockey and you play hockey at night with a guys league or someone. And so then you just become like the hockey guy or the hockey gal or what the puck. You could come up with something really fun that becomes your brand.
Yep.
Even if what you do is you own a body shop, then you tie in what you're really good at and passionate about, because people will then sense that about you, that you love what you're talking about.
And I don't think that this is talked about enough. People think that they're not supposed to do that. And I think it's the opposite. I think you're supposed to go down those rabbit holes of your passions and make it part of your brand, because it is a personal brand. It's you. You're the brand, but you're also a person. And I think people forget that. I think that's so true. And I wish there was a way that I could just get that in everyone's head. I'm trying.
We're doing it one podcast at a time, one client. Well, and that's just it. It's like, you are really unique at something, or you're really good at something, or you have a network that nobody else does. Tap into that instead of trying. I can't stand when I see people just jump on trends on social media. And I'm looking at them going, why are you and your team dancing to this song? It makes no sense for what your business is. And you guys don't look comfortable. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it feels unnatural. I saw the thing a couple weeks ago. It was a Coldplay couple that got caught, and all these brands jumped on it. Why are you celebrating this couple cheating? I felt like it was so weird, and I was like, I don't know why everyone's talking about this. It just seems such a weird thing to like, but everyone's talking about it. I got to jump on it, and I didn't talk about it. And I was like, this is weird. I don't know why everyone is jumping on this trend right now. It's really strange to me.
Totally agree. Something else I'm going to start talking about a lot more. I'm going to start using this quote. And I saw a quote when it comes to marketing, and it said, it's by Lamborghini. So Lamborghini has said, we don't advertise on TV because our clients aren't sitting on the couch. And I was like, oh, knowing who your client is and where they're hanging out and what they're doing is going to help you narrow in on your brand and what you want to be, even where you network, where you show up. I'd love to have a whole conversation with you about Substack, because I know that's really rising up, but I don't like, is that mainly for blogs, like old kind of blogs?
It's a newsletter meets a blog. So what I love about it is I've had a newsletter for years, but then once you send it out, where does it go? It goes nowhere. It's just in people's inboxes. When you send it out, then it becomes a permanent blog post that can have SEO, and it can have embedded videos. It can be your podcast as well. So you can send the actual link from the Substack to people if they're like, oh, I want to hear about that podcast you send it to them. So it's all in one for me, instead of sending them to the podcast, sending them to the YouTube channel, sending them to my website. I'm sending them to my Substack because I get their email, and every time I publish something, it actually gets in their inbox. So the moment I'll publish this podcast, it will be an email at this exact same time. It saves me a step. It's something that people can look at over and over again. So it's more of a permanent email newsletter that gets posted onto the internet. That's why I love it. I know. And it's free, and you can monetize it. So you can actually build a Patreon type thing for yourself. I actually just turned it on and somebody paid for it. I was like, oh my gosh. So that means I got to have some unique content that's not available to everyone to get more people to buy my annual membership, which is like $50 for the year. So I'm trying to figure out, now that somebody has bought in that, I need to figure out what is that look like
The
in terms
value,
of,
like,
or like what's going to be behind the paywall in a sense, because I do think because there's times where I want to deep dive on something, but I'm like, I don't know if anyone cares, but I'm like, if they're paying for it and they want the deep dive, I'm going to do it because I will go in on something if I really feel passionate about it. I just feel like my general audience may not care. So I
so
think
could
that's
you
a
put
big,
videos there? Could
yes.
videos live there
Yep,
that what
yep,
people
yep,
pay
yep,
for?
yep,
Like I
yep.
literally just had this conversation with my husband yesterday
Yes,
because people
yes.
want my AI workshops that I do
Yes, you
virtually.
could. So you can also go live. So I'm trying to figure that out too. I'm like, could I
Oh,
have this be a live workshop that then it's only available to paid subscribers? I'm looking into that as an option because in order to
brilliant.
get to go to because I used to do like free webinar type workshops just to get people's emails, but I'm like, if they're already a subscriber, then they could actually do that. And there's one person that I highly recommend following is Molly McPherson. I don't know if you follow her at all. She's a PR expert, but the way that she uses Substack is really smart. She has a private feed for people that subscribe, but then she also does subscriber only pop-up lives.
Content.
So I think it's called the PR Breakdown is the name of her Substack, but she is someone I've just been a fan of for many years. She's done a lot of PR crisis management mostly, but it's just fascinating to hear her thoughts on stuff that's happening in the media. Like that Coldplay couple, I think she covered that. It's just figuring out like, what should people be doing or what she would recommend if they were a client and they're going through a crisis. Anyways, but I love Substack. And so again, I talk about it a lot, but then I'm also trying to get people into my Substack. So it's like, it's almost two in one purpose is getting more people on Substack itself. Hopefully then they'll quickly be able to follow me on there. You don't have to have a Substack account to subscribe. You just have to have an email address, but it's
Okay.
easier to follow people if I have the Substack app on my phone. So I can quickly find new Substacks. It's also helpful for discovery and you can actually still cross promote. So for example, our friend Carolyn has a Substack. We cross promote each other. So when somebody signs up for mine, she's a suggested follow. So then,
Oh,
and then I'm a
nice.
suggested follow for her. So people just say, yes, I want to follow that person. So I've gotten some subscribers just because somebody signed up for her AI newsletter and she's gotten people from me when they sign up for mine. So it's a great way to build your audience through somebody else as well.
I absolutely love this because I was just struggling in the last couple of days where I've never done a newsletter. I haven't wanted to. I'm
Oh,
like, and I
you
hate the
should.
feeling of,
You should.
but I
No, but
don't
make
like
it
this
a blog
whole.
post. Make it a blog post.
That's why this is such an answer for
Yeah.
me because I've sat here going, I don't want to have to do a newsletter. I hate it when people are
Yeah.
like, "Are you doing a newsletter?" It's not my shtick. I don't
It's
like
not
that.
what you're thinking of is actually an email marketing. This is email newsletter, which is basically more of a blog, like an email post.
This I like because I would do a royal decree.
And you can also move your podcast there and it can set it up with Spotify and Apple Podcasts from Substack. So it's a free place to host your podcast. And then you can embed the video as well. You should subscribe to mine and see mine. I'll send it to you. But basically, it's really helpful to have one stop shop for all the stuff that I'm talking about from a content perspective.
Do you still have your website?
Yes.
Why do you like it more or less than your website?
Website is just means to an end of my services. It's not really where I host content ever. But then I put blog on there or newsletter, people click on it, it redirects to my Substack. And I also embed a place where people can sign up because I do think in 2025, websites are not as important as they used to be. It's needed but also Substack can be crawled by Google. So ChatGPT can find your Substack. You know what I'm saying? So it's also SEO friendly in that sense. And that's why it doesn't matter if it's coming from your website, as long as it has your name on it. That's the most important
Yeah.
thing. Whether it's social or YouTube or TikTok, you're going to be found. And I'm like, people just put so much work into their website. And I'm like, people are on there for half a second. They're just trying to find the one thing and then they leave. They don't spend, unless they're like a really hot lead. People aren't probably scrolling through all of your blog posts and stuff. But if they get sent it once a week, maybe they'll read it.
No, that's
Anyways,
good.
I have a lot of thoughts on it. And I just think it's important. So let's get back to the personal branding. So you have really made Princess Paula your brand. You added some things like the crown, that sort of thing. And you also have the name tag. Can you talk about that? I wanted to make sure we bring that up. You have a bunch of
I
name
will.
tags that you wear because I think that I also recently got my own name tag and it's been helpful. But you were the first person that I was like, oh, you have like lots of them.
Yes. And so it's, well, again, I always want to show up a certain way. And so for me, I wanted a couple of different ones because first of all, when I saw them, they were so cool. I was like, you can't just choose one. They're too
Yeah.
amazing because there's different colors and different fonts.
Mhm.
So then I wanted ones that always match my outfit. So I have a
Yeah.
choice. I wanted some magnetic backs, some pin backs,
Mhm.
depending on what I'm wearing. And so I'm kind of like, I always just want to show up really well because I'm my brand. So I'm
Mhm.
really cognizant of how I show up.
Yes.
But the name tags was a big deal because I would go places, and if you had a name tag from a place you work, we're basically trying to put your resume on this little 2x3 piece of plastic,
Yeah.
your name, first and last, where you work,
Yeah.
this is just too much. So
Mhm.
then people are trying to squint at your chest. For a lot
Yeah.
of us, it's very awkward to have
Yeah, it is
someone just
awkward, yeah.
squinting at your chest. You're like, can we be done? And the truth is, people just want to know your first name so they can walk
Yes.
up and say, hi, Paula. Hi, Jenna. How are you doing?
Mhm.
And so when I saw these and I found her name is the Blue Dahlia, Bleu, and she's on Etsy, and I get all of them from there. And I just send her as much business as I can
Mm.
because they're great.
Yeah.
And even this morning, I was at a networking meeting this morning, and right away, someone I didn't know walked up and said, oh my gosh, your name tag. I love that. So
Mm.
now I've just made, again, a unique selling point. I've made
Yes.
something stand out. And then they come up and it's an instant conversation
It
starter
is. Mhm.
because people will always come up and say, "Oh my gosh, I love your name tag. Where'd you get that from?" So
Mhm.
now I've just broken the ice with people. I've made it really easy. When I forget that I have it on, I'll show up places. I'll go to the gas station or somewhere. People are like, "Hey, Paula, how's it going?" And I go, "Do I know you?"
Yeah.
Because people can read it from far away. That's the other thing.
Yes.
It's nice and big. So they're
Mm.
no longer squinting awkwardly at my chest. From far away, they can look and go, oh, hi, Paula. So I was showing up with a name tag so that people can easily identify you, have a conversation with you, start
Mhm.
talking is so important. And this just makes it really easy.
And I think people don't realize how much people forget people's names too. I'm at events, shoot, I've definitely met this person. I don't remember their name and there's no name tags. And I'm like, shoot, I hate
Yes.
that.
Or when they've written it themselves with a Sharpie
Yeah, that's
paper
me.
and you
That's me.
cannot understand. I was
Yes.
like, oh my
No.
gosh, I can't even tell what that says.
No, that is exactly what happens to me is I have the worst handwriting, which is why I don't write anything. I type everything because I'm just like my handwriting sucks. That's why I'm so focused on Notion because I'm like I can actually find what I'm looking for and because I'm typing it, not writing it. But I definitely need to. I think I only have one. I might buy some more and maybe I'll use your lady because I'm like I definitely need some bigger ones, I think. And for
Keep
me,
them around.
I
Always
do
have one
want to
in your purse or in your
Yes, I
car.
keep it in my car because I'm like, I'll just throw it on before a networking event. And then every time I
Yes.
don't bring it in, shoot, it's in the car. I got to grab, man, why didn't I bring it with me? Or so it's like, it's not that expensive either. It's, I think
No,
people,
these are like $10 a piece.
it's not an investment. And I think people are self conscious about it. They're like, oh, I don't want to like stand out. But I'm like, that's the point is you want to stand out.
Yes.
I think
Okay, and the
this,
other thing is when
yeah,
you just do your first name, if you ever change jobs, I've had the same name tags for
yeah,
years because I don't have to get a new one because I don't have my whole resume on
yeah.
it and I can just wear the same name tag.
Yes, mine's just first and last name, so it's just very simple. But I think I agree. So, one thing that I think is probably the biggest thing that I think you and I maybe both have in common is we're not afraid to stand out. I think in Minnesota specifically, it's harder to do that. People are just like, they want to conform, they don't want to stand out. I went to the TED Talk on Wednesday, the TED Talk
I
Minneapolis.
saw you posted that.
Yeah, and one of the things that was mentioned in one of the TED Talks was this experiment where people had to draw a line and then, or they had to pick which line was the same length as the other line and then there was a group that did it wrong and then 37% of the people said it was wrong because they wanted to conform. They knew it was wrong, but because everyone else is doing it, they're just like, oh, I don't want to stand out from the crowd, I'm just going to say that wrong answer even though in their head they knew it was wrong. And that made me so upset. I was like, why are people conforming when they know it's wrong? And maybe that's just my brain is I would never conform if I knew something was incorrect. But I think in what we've been taught, especially in the Midwest, is like, just don't stand out. Don't be like, don't make waves. And I feel like that has never stuck with me. And so I think what I've realized is when you do that, you become invisible. So how do you get the confidence or the ability to stand out when you've just never been told to before?
No, that's so good. And it always comes back to that being memorable. You said it right
Yes.
at the beginning
Yeah.
is you can't be memorable if you don't stand out. And
Yes.
we're not talking about you're going to stand out because you're a serial killer or you've done
Mm-hmm.
something really terrible. That's
Yeah.
its own category.
Mm-hmm.
And I get there's a lot of introverts in the world. There's a lot of people that are shy and they say, I don't want to be the center of attention.
Yes.
Even that's slightly different. You don't have to be out in front of the room being loud and
Mm-hmm.
seen in order to stand out. You can
Yes.
quietly stand out because you have a really great product or how you do it,
Yes.
or it's something about it is where people go, what was that? I cannot tell you how
Yeah.
many times I tilt my head and go, that's awesome. That's really
Mm-hmm.
cool and unique. I've never seen that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
drawn to it. And I think people just need to have permission that It's okay to figure out what you're really good at and what you're unique and let that bubble up.
And I think just letting people see you and be like, especially when you're, this is one of the things that I struggle with is when you're a business owner, you have to be memorable. If you're a business owner, you have to stand out. If you're all these things, you can't just be a business owner and then also shrink back into the shadows. It's just not possible. And I think that's why a lot of businesses fail is they're afraid to put themselves out there. And I'm like, you're going to fail. You just are, because that's part of running a business is standing out. And it's just, I think that's why I'm not saying I'm the best business owner of all time, but I'm like, I think people remember me because I'm willing to do that.
So we didn't plan this. We didn't tee this up, but I have a brand new keynote I just did
Okay.
called Be the Ferrari. You're not for everyone, and that's
Oh, I
okay.
love that.
And so it's coming out now, and it's a whole thing that I'm really going to be promoting everywhere. And it's this whole concept because we've been told a lie that
Mhm.
like our product, whatever our business and product is, everyone's our customer and we're for everyone. No, you're
Mhm.
not. Are unique. So my whole Be the Ferrari thing is a whole story of how my husband called
Mhm.
me a Ferrari. And he's like, people that love a Ferrari are going to love you, but not everyone
Mm.
likes a Ferrari. Some want a
True.
Bugatti or a Corvette or whatever.
Yes.
But the people that want a Ferrari, that love a Ferrari, are going to love you, Paula, and the other people aren't. And
Yes.
I've already had some of this recently where people are, you're really not for us. Or I look at them and
Mm.
go, you're not my customer. You're great.
Yes.
And so once people figure out what makes them unique, if you're a Ferrari or my podcast
Mhm.
co-host, she wants to be a DeLorean, awesome. You figure out who you are and who you're not.
Yes.
Because once you know who you are, you just sit in that lane. You will find your people, they will find you, and you're going to be rich and successful with the people who love you. But it's
Yes.
not everyone.
There's a quote that I use. It's 5% are going to love you, 5% are going to hate you, and 90% are in the middle. So find that 5% is like just generally, there's a lot of people that are going to be like whatever about you. But like when I go to a networking event, I can tell if I'll connect with a person within about 2 minutes, right? Just
You only need that 5% to make
yes,
your goal.
exactly. But it does take some time to find, but that's part of the process. It's like you're looking for a needle in a haystack a little bit, but that's kind of what the goal of networking is you might go to a networking event and strike out and not find anyone, but you might find your best friend at the next one. So it's like you have to put out a lot of effort because people are like, Jenna, how do you know everyone? I put in a lot of time and effort to go to a lot of networking events. And then the ones that really clicked with me, I stuck with, right? And so it was my birthday on Monday. And I invited a bunch of people that I have become friends with over from a lot of networking events because I'm like, I want them to meet each other and they're all cool. And I feel like if they like me, they'd probably like each other. And so it was really cool to see my friend groups just come together. But it was interesting because it's like those people I've just been collecting along my path, right? They're people that I'll meet every 6 months. I'll meet someone that I become really good friends with, right? So it's like, but that I would have never met them if I hadn't gone to all those other networking events where I didn't meet anyone or whatever.
Totally.
So I think a lot of times it's just effort. A lot of times it's just putting in the hours and the work. And I know you go to a lot of networking events as well. So sometimes it's a strikeout and you don't really meet anyone interesting. And then sometimes it's a home run. So it's sometimes you just have to put in the work and the times.
And it's okay when it's not. I'll be totally vulnerable
Yeah.
here. I had a phone call this week with a client where they're bringing me in to speak. I'm like, awesome.
Mhm.
But then he said, I just need to be upfront with you. When I mentioned this to some of the people and they saw that it was Princess Paula, they were like, what is that all about? And he goes,
Mm.
I've heard you speak twice. I understand your brand. I know how
Mhm.
good you are.
Mhm.
But for some people, and I know that some people hear the whole
Mm.
Princess Paula and they're like, who is she? What they turn their
Mm.
nose up. They are not my people, and that's okay because I'm not for everyone. And I have to
Yeah.
understand not everyone's gonna love me, and
Yes.
that's totally
Yes.
fine.
That is a hard pill to swallow, but I agree. And I think I have learned to quickly move on. Just don't like wallow in that. Just be like, oh, we're not a good fit. I'm going to try the next one. It's like opening doors. That one was locked. Move on to the next one. Don't
But
sit
don't
there
you
trying.
find what are your thoughts? Because I think with this whole going viral business that our
Mm-hmm.
society has been
Mm-hmm.
steeped in, people walk around with this thought of, I have to go viral to where
No,
there's millions of people that love me. And I always
I
say, you only need so many clients or
no.
customers to reach your goals. That's all you need.
So they call it 1,000 true fans. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You
Yep.
know, so there's a concept. I think it's by, I'm pretty sure his name is Kevin Kelly. I'm almost positive his name is Kevin Kelly. He created a concept called 1,000 true fans. You need 1,000 people that love you and you can make a living, that sort of thing. So just think about it that way. You don't need 100,000, a million. You need 1,000 true fans that are going to buy your book. They're going to go to your workshop. So your goal is to be building 1,000 people, which is a lot. So I probably know more than 1,000 people. So it's like if I get that many people just like becoming true fans of me, that's what I'm aiming for. Not going. I went viral last year in August. I had about 18 million views over the course of entire year last year. It was crazy. I went really
Nice.
viral, but it was not always for the best reason. So for me, it was kind of like went viral, but it didn't really help me in that sense. So it was like, that really changed my view of going viral is like, yes, you get a lot of eyes on you, but like you get all judgment and you get opinions. And it's just like, it's not actually as fun as you think. And like, it's very temporary. So it's like,
Oh,
you know,
oh, everyone wants to go viral. And I keep
yeah.
saying, if you go viral, you like really fast,
Yes.
but then
Yes.
when you come down, you
Yes.
still have to do the work, or
Yes.
you can just start with doing the work and eventually you'll hit that
Exactly.
point.
I think that's a much better route because then it's not going to drop off as drastically either.
Because
So I
people
think,
don't realize that. They think if they go
yeah,
viral, they're going to stay up there.
no,
And if
that's not,
you
yeah.
don't, you come
I
down.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened to me. And I was like, I know this isn't gonna last. So I was like, I kind of enjoy it while happening, but then I'm like, in 2 weeks they're gonna forget me. And so that's the other thing too. Is one of the things. Okay, just one last tip: say your name in videos. So some of the things I'll do is sometimes I'll say like, people tell me Jenna. So then one of the things I do is I subconsciously say my name while I'm talking about something
Smart.
to like have people remember me because I'll be on TikTok and I'll see a person's face and I'm like, I don't remember her name. Like I see her face all the time, but I don't know what her handle is or whatever. Then there's people who I'm like, I know their first and last name. I know their business name. I know them and I don't know what the difference is. It's probably because they say their name all the time or it's printed or the name of their podcast is their name. Like all about being memorable more than just having a lot of views. And I think that's the biggest shift I've made in the last like 5 years.
So good. I'm just sitting here going, I think I have to have you on our podcast because
I'd love
it's like,
to.
these are the
Yeah.
conversations I love having with people.
Yeah. And I feel like you get it more than anyone else I've ever talked to. So I'm like glad that we were talking about this. I know we're kind of coming up on time. How do we find you? I know you've got a podcast, you've got website, social. Where do people find you online?
Well, again, this is so great. Like we just talked about Princess Paula. So basically, if you type in Princess Paula, you're going to find me,
Nice.
princesspaulaconsulting.com. I am on all the socials. The podcast is Royally Unhinged.
Love it.
Again, tying in my little royal stuff, but it's super fun. And that's a good time. On LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I'm pushing
Yeah.
everyone to LinkedIn these
Me
days.
too. Me
I think it's
too.
the best
It
platform to be
is.
on to grow
It
your
is.
business.
I agree.
Hands
And that's why
down.
I'm on there every day. And like people, there's somebody who's like, I see you more than anyone else. I'm like, that means that like it's working. And
And your
you're probably,
YouTube
yeah.
stuff is good too. Like now
Oh,
that I've subscribed to you, I like when I
yeah.
see things pop up in my YouTube
Yeah.
feed.
Well, you should subscribe to my Substack because then you'll get a
I will.
notification when it comes out. So I'm going to be doing a lot more on personal branding, I've decided, because I think that is a topic that I'm writing my book on. And so I'm having Howie on. I don't know if you know him at all, but he does a lot of
No.
stuff. Yeah, he's big on LinkedIn. You should connect with him. He's local. And so
Okay.
I'm hoping to have a few people to talk about So if you know anyone else in town that I should interview
Oh
about
yeah.
personal branding, let me know because it's definitely a topic I want to cover in the future.
Well, I'm excited too to see how yours kind of with the whole red thread. Oh my gosh, I like
Yes.
that.
I mean,
It would be
yeah.
super fun if you like through your wardrobe and just start sewing
Yes.
in like a seam line, like
Ooh,
a
I
red
like
thread,
that.
that kind of round. Like
Or like,
everything you
yes.
own, you could put just a red seam on different parts of it.
Or like those like that they have for like or something like the little red like
Yeah.
thing where it's like a little like where that could be part of my name tag or something. I don't know if
Yes.
that could work. That I'll have to, or maybe like a red thread around my name tag. That would be interesting.
Yes.
Good idea.
I'm totally cheap too. If you got like a name tag, just get a red Sharpie and
Oh
make
yeah,
like
makes sense. Okay. Oh,
cool.
thank you for coming on. And I'm sure maybe I'll come on yours sometime, but I'll put this out and people can follow you. And I'm sure they'll have lots of more conversations with us in the future.
I'll get everyone on
Awesome.
LinkedIn following you.
Awesome. Thanks.